What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 2300 Gear Jammer channel. I want to start this one by saying I don't like walk-around videos, but that's all I'm going to say about it. All right, the number one reason the track is better is because you have to have a running vehicle that can move itself from A to B, and you have to be able to drive it. So that's where you separate all the people that just want to do an idle video. I don't know. I would much rather be at the track, but that's it. So the reason I don't like idle videos is because people would rather do an idle video than go to the track, and I don't understand that. If you send me a video from the track that's titled 10 failed attempts to go down the track, I'm gonna watch every piece of it. If you send me a video that says idle video, I'm not interested. But for some reason, anyway, doesn't matter. All right, the reason I don't like walk-around videos is because the track is better in every single way. People are afraid to fail at the track. I don't really know why. I fail all the time, and still it is a blast. So most of the time I just push people to go and run whatever they can, and this is definitely running whatever I can. I will bet money that when we take this to the track, it won't be running at the end. But that's okay. This thing is junk, and I built it all out of spare parts. I don't know, built's kind of a maybe not built, but I put it together out of stuff that fell off of everything else around here. And we're just gonna have fun with this thing. If you want to see something tested, 2-3 related, engine, transmission, rear end, that kind of stuff, we'll do that. I'm not gonna cut this thing up, so don't even bother with that. But put it in the comments, we'll see if we can get to it. But today we're gonna go through the story of how this truck got turboed, which is one of my favorite stories for all of my vehicles. And we'll talk about the parts that are on this thing and some that fell off, and where we're going with this truck. And I don't really have any direction for it. We can kind of do whatever we want to with it, as long as it can be undone and street driven if I need it. This is a very useful truck. It's good for all kinds of stuff, and I use it pretty heavily around here. So let's get into it. So here is kind of how the Ranger came to this moment. We'll start there. It'll only take a second. All right, so some friends had this truck. They were daily driving it, and the cooling system kind of clogged up and got muddy, busted the head gasket, and the thing sat for a little while. And after it sat, I don't know, about a year, I ended up getting it from them, and I drove it home with the busted head gasket. It was its own fun drive. But while I had the thing apart, I kept trying to decide how far I wanted to take the truck in general. And I had the cylinder head off, and I was looking at it, and the cylinder walls looked okay. So I said, well, I'll probably turbo it at some point. So I went ahead and pulled the engine out, stock engine, and drilled it for the oil return line to go in the side of the block in the factory location, just like a turbo coupe would be. And I had a set of pistons. I mean, I got lots of sets of pistons for turbo coupe. So I picked out a set that was like 300,000 miles, absolutely crusty. They were sitting on the garage floor, and I had some engineering friends that were over when I was putting this thing together the first time. And this kid was so funny. These are dirty pistons on a dirty floor, and I picked one up, and he said, oh, you're gonna buy brand new ones, right? I looked at the truck. I was like, gosh, I paid $300 for the truck. I'm not gonna put a set of pistons in it. So I picked the thing up and went and then installed it, and he couldn't comprehend. He was having a hard time with that. It was one of the funniest things. So I put the whole truck together. It was non-turbo. All I did was drill and tap a hole for the oil return line for the turbo, and I swapped the pistons. I didn't change anything else. I just put the thing back together, and I started driving it. While I was driving it, I started putting parts on it that would get it ready for a turbo swap that would be easy. And basically, it was ready to go. So I'd been driving this thing, and it was super reliable, but just the slowest thing I've ever driven, maybe ever, except for the Pinto. And we ran on the dyno. It made 79 horsepower. It was so bad that when the AC compressor would kick on, it would lose 4 horsepower, which that's like 5%. So this thing was just awful to drive. Same day, we hit it with a 100 shot on the dyno, and it only made 119. So 119 horsepower with a 100 shot of nitrous. It's just awful. Pretty soon after that, I was driving down a hill on the interstate. And if you're not familiar with vehicles this slow, when you're driving on the interstate and there's a hill coming, even if it's gradual, first thing you do is turn the AC off, and then you start deciding how many gears you're gonna have to go down. So I was in 5th. I immediately put it in 4th because there's a hill, and I see a truck behind me, and he puts his turn signal on, and it's a tractor trailer, but it's not just anyone. It is towing a house, and he's taking up 2 lanes. So this thing puts his turn signal on, towing a house, because he sees a Ranger. He knows the hill's coming. He's got to go around. This guy gets over, and I'm like, man, no. Third gear and floor it, and then a house without any issue, a double wide, passes me on the interstate. We go up the hill, and there's nothing I can do about it. The thing puts his turn signal on, gets over, and continues down the road while I'm still in third gear. So I laughed for about an hour, I cried for 2, and then I went home and turboed it that day. It got a turbo the day I was passed by a house. So if you guys got a double wide you want to race, this thing is ready. But it hasn't gone through too many changes since then. I turboed it that day, and I've done very, very little else to it since then. I've just beaten the thing up, used it in the yard and whatever else. All right, that's the day it got turboed. Let's go through the parts that's on it. And I had one day where I just broke a whole bunch of stuff on the engine. I'll talk about that. And I don't typically talk about prices of stuff that I pay. That's for you to figure out how to wheel and deal best you can. I'm gonna say every price I can remember on this truck because it's kind of funny. I did it for next to nothing. We'll go through that and the parts I broke. Yeah. This engine was completely stock, and it had a little over 200,000 miles on it. 93 Ranger, absolutely nothing done to it. I put a set of these were low mileage pistons. 260,000 miles on these pistons, and they were beat all to pieces. I just put them in, used the same bearings, didn't worry about it. I didn't put any parts on it that I didn't have to. I drilled and tapped a hole in the side of the block for the oil return line. Intercooler tubing is cheapest eBay thing I could find. I think it was like 60 bucks for that. Turbo was from a friend that was Holzit H1C, and I think it was like 125 bucks. Exhaust manifold is a flip deal that works perfect with the AC box. I didn't have to do anything. That was messed up when the person made it. I just bought it cheap. I think like 150 bucks. I cut it and fixed it. And intercooler, can't see hardly, but it's tucked away pretty decent. And I spray painted it black so you can't really tell that it's in there. Again, that was another cheap eBay thing. It's basically normal bolt-on stuff. Front mount intercooler, cheapest tubes, Holzit turbo. The exhaust is full 3-inch all the way back. And I can't remember, I think the downpipe started as a Stinger downpipe, and I had to cut it a little bit because of where the turbo's sitting for this one. 3-inch exhaust all the way back, Borla muffler. Some of that stuff I had just sitting around, so I don't really know how much to say that was. I bought a tailpipe for a 93 Ranger that was just the cheapest Summit pipe that they had. The computer's a pimp. The very, very first version was one of the very first ones because it was tested in my black Mustang, and we just moved it from vehicle to vehicle, and now it's sitting in this Ranger. So probably will stay in this Ranger. It seems to work pretty well. And the rest of it's pretty stock though. Injectors are 85-pound injectors, which are massive for what this thing needs. Stock, I used stock for a little while, and the rest of it, working AC, things like that. Stock transmission, stock part store clutch, stock drive shaft. The rear end is out of a 93 Explorer with a tow package, so I had a locked rear end. It came with 373 gears. I put 410s in it, and 31 spline axles out of the Explorer, so rear end should be good. As far as the truck itself, it should be fine if I ever wanted to drop a long block engine in it. I think, honestly, put in the comments, if you want to see a T5 swap done from start to finish, we can do that. I've got all the parts to do it. I just never did it. Like, it's kind of hard to cobble together all the parts that you need to put a T5 in this that will have the shifter in the right spot. So put in the comments if you want to see a T5 swap in this. I definitely have a couple I can use for it. So, and the fuel pump is a brand, I can't think of the name, but it's 340 liters per hour. And so I think that's what caused this thing to tear up some parts. It had a 60 liter per hour pump in it. That was the factory pump. I ran that for a long time, and I had a situation where a boost ran away, and I just let her rip. I kept hitting gears, and it was pulling clean, so I kept going. And it ended up burning up a spark plug, the exhaust valve, and a piston, and a head gasket all in one shot. Just torched everything. So I didn't have much stress about it though. I didn't hone it or anything. I just took another dirty one off the floor and installed it and called it good. So, and it's been running fine ever since. Cylinder head is just a junkyard Mustang, like a 92 Mustang cylinder head. So nothing special there. It's never had a valve job, nothing to it. We'll get to some of that stuff. I've got a lot of 2.3 parts. So if we want to modify this thing, we can. But that's the parts that's on it and what I broke. So now we need to figure out where this truck's going. So I need to pick some goals. I think this thing will run 8s in the 8th. So we'll start there. I don't want to touch anything, just try to get clean passes. And I did Hot Rod Drag Week with this thing, where you drive from track to track, you make a pass and drive to the next track the next day, and you keep going. So that was a lot of fun. I've piled wood over the cab before, and I use it around here almost every day. We'll set some track goals and see where we end up. I think if I keep it simple, it's kind of heavy. It's 3,500 pounds, probably the way it's sitting now. So we'll just see where we can go with it. I'm not gonna get too stressed out. I feel like the next time this thing goes to the track, because it's been a while, it's gonna torch something, but we're gonna do it, and we're not gonna worry about what it runs. We're just gonna see how fast we can get it to go with whatever junk we got that day. I think that's it. I don't really like walk around videos, and going to the track is better, if I didn't mention that. Leave some comments for this thing. If you got questions, I'll try to answer all of them in the comment section. Every comment you leave bumps the channel up a little bit, so that helps. And maybe we can get to the track on the next one. See if we can get, maybe we might even be able to get Trevor down the track. He's still, to date, never made a track pass, so we might be able to do that. We'll see. We'll go a step at a time. But that's it for now. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.